want to give you an update what I think about this COVID virus. Sitting here in my garage. This is for the purpose of it being quiet yet still having some natural lighting. Anyway, it's not really about the virus at this point as much as about the lockdown, but let's have some background perspective. So probably it escaped from that lab. I don't know if they engineered it and released it on purpose, or it was an accident, or maybe it was even not from the lab. Doesn't matter. Also, originally when Trump said it was the new hoax, I don't think that was necessarily appropriate thing to say, because a lot of people did take it, or rather decide that it is a hoax in the sense that it's not really a virus but 5G radiation or Monsanto or whatever. No, it is a virus. It's similar to a common cold, but a little worse, maybe 10 times worse. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The mortality seems to be slightly above 0.1%, which, I mean, it's actually not as bad as regular virus, as regular flu for young people, but it's much worse for old people. Anyway, but none of that is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about why it is on some level a hoax. And it's not the virus that's the hoax, it's the lockdown. So you might know I'm from New York City, even though I'm in New Jersey right now, right? So I left maybe like a year ago. But I mean, I've been to New York City when it was just starting out. And also, if you live in New York City, you know the subway is everything, right? So like when I worked in New York City, I always traveled to New York to Manhattan on the subway. It was always packed, like really packed, like almost like in Tokyo style, right? During rush hour. So everybody's packed like sardines. There is absolutely no way to avoid spreading any kind of virus in this type of environment. So you would think that this is something they would consider and address, right? But no, they in fact, it's completely obvious why New York City was hit harder than any other city in America and harder than most cities on earth is because of the subway system, right? So the subway system is the perfect incubator for this disease. So any strategy to combat the virus would have to involve somehow reducing the density of the crowding on the subway, right? So what did they do? They did the exact opposite, right? They reduced subway service to force people to get even more packed into the subways. Now you might wonder, like, are these people really so stupid that they cannot figure this shit out, right? Well, what I find is that 90% of the time when something like that happens, it's not stupidity, it's deliberate, right? Because stupidity is a really good excuse for, let's call it, evil people to do. Like, let's say you wanted to do something really fucked up. Would you admit it, or would you say you didn't know any better? And that's what stupidity is. Like, unless stupidity comes from somebody who's actually unable to function, like somebody who cannot read, cannot hold a job, blah blah blah, that person, when he lists his stupidity as an excuse for why he did something, and that might be possible. But when somebody like goes through law school and like Harvard and blah blah blah, and then he cannot figure out the simplest of things, that's probably a lie, right? Anyway, so what's actually going on? Why do we have this lockdown when it's clearly completely irrelevant? Because in Sweden they do not have a lockdown, and everywhere else they do. And if you look at the curve that we were supposed to be flattening, whatever, it's the same basically everywhere. Like, every country basically goes through the same curve regardless of whether there is lockdown or not, when it was started, whatever. It just doesn't really matter. At worst, or at best rather, the lockdown might, I don't know, like, spread the curve out a little bit, but The rationale for the lockdown was to flatten the curve, right? But we are so far past the peak of the curve. The peak in New York City has been a month ago. We're already down to like 1/3 of the peak, and we're still under lockdown. Why? Right? What are we trying to do? Well, listen to these idiots. I mean, they're obviously gonna come up, they're not gonna ever tell you the truth, right? They're gonna tell you that it's about saving lives, blah, 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 but we're not gonna save anybody. All we're doing is actually killing people because people are sitting at home getting fat, getting depressed, instead of like enjoying the outdoors. And even if you were to show in terms of numbers that you saved a few lives, you've exchanged good lives for shitty lives, and it's not at all certain that you actually going to save more people that you're going to kill, because you know a virus isn't the only thing that kills people, and this particular virus for the most part only kills people that were going to die anyway. And what we're doing right now is we're turning young healthy people into fat and sick people, so the next time the next virus comes, it's gonna kill them, because then they're not gonna be, then they will have the preconditions for blah blah blah. But that's all besides the point. The question is, why are we having this lockdown? Are they really so fucking stupid that they don't understand the stupidity of this? The answer is no, they understand perfectly well that the lockdown is pointless, or rather that it's not about the virus. The lockdown is about global warming, right? So I'm sure you've seen many times on TV the satellite views of them showing that there is so much less pollution in areas under lockdown, like 1/10 of the pollution, and also that the economy is dying and all that good stuff, right? So one very telling video I saw is when Bill Gates was giving an interview on TV, and he was asked, like, he was told that the economy is not gonna recover for a long time, and he just started laughing hysterically and smiling. And I've consulted like manuals on what's a genuine smile versus a fake smile, and that was the most genuine smile that you can ever have. Like, he was so happy that the economy is dead and not coming back. Right? Well, why would you be so happy about it? Well, because that's what global warming is all about. Global warming is all about killing the economy with carbon taxes, with forced closings of factories, and guess what they have now? With global warming, they were closing like coal mines, and now they're closing everything. They're closing meat plants, right? And guess what? Part of the global warming thing was, oh, look, cow farts create global warming. We have to get rid of the cows. Nobody can have meat anymore. And look what else they're doing. They're banning people from driving cars. Well, what the fuck do cars have to do with the virus? You're not infecting anybody when you're driving by yourself in a car. You're infecting people when you're sharing a subway train with 100 people packed into a tiny space, or 1,000 people. But guess what? They took measures to actually increase the crowding on the subway, so people get even more packed and spread even more virus, right? Yet they're banning cars and you're not allowed to drive. Well, what a coincidence. It's exactly what they wanted to do all along. They wanted to ban people from driving cars and from eating meat, and they wanted to stop the pollution, and everything they wanted is magically happening. Except, of course, it's not a result of the virus, it's the result of their lockdown, and virus is just an excuse for the lockdown, right? So the virus is their excuse to implement the lockdown, which is what they wanted all along, because the lockdown accomplishes all of their goals with respect to pollution, people not driving cars, people not eating meat, slowing down the global economy, which they thought was overheating and creating too much environmental damage due to like too much economic activity and so on. Everything they wanted is happening, and all they need for this is permanent lockdown forever. And the fact that the virus is already gone and we're a month past the peak, and it's the cases are now like 1/3 of what they were at the peak, and soon it's gonna be zero. But they're like, you don't really think we're gonna stop the lockdown just because the virus is gone, right? I mean, did they stop all the global warming hysteria and all the stuff just because it came out that there is no global warming? Like, no. I mean, Al Gore was saying that by 2012, all the ice caps on the North Pole and South Pole will be completely gone. Nothing happened and nothing is happening, but they just renamed it from global warming to climate change, and still all the same policies and institutions and everything, nothing changes. So guess what? This lockdown is the same shit. The virus is just about gone. In a month or two, it's gonna be almost completely gone, but the lockdown is not going nowhere because it was never about saving any lives. In fact, they did pretty much everything they could to kill people. The lockdown is about pollution, not eating meat, not driving cars, slowing down world economy, blah blah blah. I don't know, like I don't know what else to. It's pretty obvious. Like ask Bill Gates.